remember he told me, I'm gonna have 2 tuna fish sandwiches. And he came back from lunch and he said, well, I was at lunch and my doctor called and told me my mercury is high. So hopefully he's resolved that by now, because this was several years ago. Hi, I'm Tina Fey. I'm here with The Hollywood Reporter. And I'm gonna share some of my close collabs. Amy Poehler. Well, Amy Poehler and I have known each other since 1993, and we have worked at about 9 different jobs together. We are, if salt and pepper shakers were human, that's what we are, because we're a perfect little set. She's obviously one of the funniest people I know, and she's also she might be the blondest person I know, because I don't know a lot of blonde people. Wake up, partner. It's time for birthing class. Yay! We joke about the fact that we're work friends. We are actual friends, but what we do like to do the most together, and what we love to work together. We love to be on stage together, to host things together, to be in movies together. If you asked us, like, what would you guys do if you had a month together? We probably would not sit on a beach. We would probably be like, let's think of something that's work and do it. I don't know, we just click that way. We text almost every day, because I'm also on a group chat with a lot of all my SNL lady friends from back in the day. So between that group chat and smaller pairings, we talk pretty much every day. I think Amy's very cool. I think she texts like a young person. So I'm definitely using more emojis and punctuation than she is, because I skew old. She does send me funny TikToks as well. Steve Carell, date night. I can't believe that was 15 years ago. Oh my God, be careful! Stop yelling at me, I know what I'm doing, all right? We made that movie together, and then we just finished this show, The 4 Seasons, together. Steve and I are both very shy, and I think it was finally 15 years into knowing each other now that we finally kind of broke through and are finally actually kind of know each other. He's the kindest person, the most gentle, kind person ever. So not Michael Scott, in that he's like really thoughtful and doesn't make hilarious interpersonal mistakes the way Michael Scott does. He's also a person who's so gifted and can be funny doing nothing or anything. And he's also a really beautiful actor. The biggest differences in our lives since Steve and I shot Date Night, well, we definitely are old. Steve looks great. Steve's a silver fox. Jon Hamm. I can't fucking shake this guy. I can't shake this guy. Jon is a hero because he has done so many favors for me and shown up in so many weird parts. I remember calling SNL the first time Jon hosted SNL, because I knew there was a part coming up in 30 Rock for a love interest for Liz Lemon, who was like so handsome that he didn't even know how to live his life or whatever. And I remember calling, and the week he was there being like, hey, is he funny? Because they'll tell you. And they're like, he's funny. And I was like, he's for really funny? And they're like, yeah, he's doing really well. I was like, okay. So then we asked him to do the part on 30 Rock, which he very kindly did. No, what is this?
Dr. Drew's Salmon Bourguignon.
What is this orangey taste?
Gatorade.
And then he, God bless him, he played the Reverend on Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, which was a part that was like, hey, do you want to be a horrible monster but still do jokes? And he was like, okay. I think that one he was like, okay, like that was a hard yes, but God bless him, he did it. And he was really funny. Jon has a great sense of humor, and he's a comedy nerd. And so much like Paul Rudd, these two men just want to waste the gifts that God has given them. It's waste those beautiful faces being silly. And we keep letting them. Steve Martin, I can't believe my life that I get to say that I have worked with Steve Martin at all, yet alone several times. Steve Martin has always been so nice to me. I remember seeing him around when I was a writer at SNL, which was like, just the first 30 times you see Steve Martin, you can't believe it. And then you're like, oh, Steve Martin. And then he was kind enough to do a part in the movie Baby Mama, where he played my weird boss with a long gray ponytail. And he's, again, for him to deign to do that was so nice.
I want to reward you with 5 minutes of uninterrupted eye contact.
I remember my weird memory of shooting that day with him. We were shooting somewhere way out in Brooklyn. He taught me what you're supposed to do if you're shooting outside in the sun and it's really bright and you don't want to be blinky. You have to close your eyes and look at the sun for a second, and then you won't blink as much. I've passed that advice on to many other people on sets, mostly because I want to say, you know what Steve Martin taught me about the sun? And also I remember he told me he was so excited because he was going to his camper at lunch and he was gonna have 2 tuna fish sandwiches. And he was like, I'm gonna have 2 tuna fish sandwiches. And he came back from lunch and he said, well, I was at lunch and my doctor called and told me my mercury is high. So hopefully he's resolved that by now because this was several years ago. I'm gonna say, believe it or not, the same age because I feel like I look a lot older than Colman. We're from like really close to the same place. I'm from Upper Darby, PA. He's from West Philly, PA. Like we could have probably talked on 2 tin cans with a string between them. And so I feel a real kinship to him.
I hate this place. You want to get a drink?
What happened to Dry Fall?
Dry Fall.
And he just is, he's a really funny person and a joyful person. And I think maybe part of the reason we were lucky enough to get him to agree to be on 4 seasons is because he, oftentimes has to do really intense dramatic stuff. I think he had just finished, running through the streets of Philly and getting chased by cops and neo-Nazis and the madness. And he was like, oh, I could just maybe do this project in between where I'm just like having dinner with people and going to the beach. Okay. But he's an absolute artist. The one day that I made him laugh in real life, we were shooting something and I was like, in my head, I was like, I made Colman laugh. I forget why we were talking about it. Something about our old tired feet, because we're all old, whatever. And I said, my feet just look like somebody poured pancake batter over a Halloween skeleton. And that really got Colman. And I was proud. He really laughed. Jane Krakowski. Oh my gosh, another crazy talent. Jane and I worked together on 30 Rock and Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. And, Jane is just such a solid professional. So you could say to Jane on 30 Rock, like, hey, tomorrow we need you to do like a split into a cartwheel while singing. And she'd be like, how tan do you want me to be? Like, she's just like ready, always. Her musical theater gifts are out of control. One really sweet memory I have of Jane was the very end of the series 30 Rock. Jane was known since she was a kid actor that one of her special skills is she could cry on cue. Some people can do that. And Jane's like, I can cry on cue. I can cry at the drop of a hat. And we wrote it into the last episode of 30 Rock where her character is singing, she's supposed to be crying. And then Jane, who was so truly emotional about the series ending, couldn't cry. And then she was getting really frustrated with herself that she couldn't cry. And I remember I think it was like literally like the last day. And she went downstairs and cried at how mad she was at herself that she couldn't cry. And then she came back up and said, I still couldn't cry. You don't have to cry. She's like, but I'm frustrated with myself that I can't cry. Bless her. Love you, Jane.
I will never forget you, Roger. I'll always...
What words do I think my former collaborators might use to describe me? Brown, pointy, hopefully not the word mean, but maybe, but I hope not. Poindexter. Bye everybody, thanks for listening to my stories.